Good afternoon everyone once again. We have completed Onigucha's therapeutic pocket book as well as Kent repertory. From today onwards we will start with the new topic, that is symptomatology. So first, what is symptom? Anyone know about symptom? What is symptom? Siti? Okay. So the symptom is nothing but any change in the health of the organism which is felt by the patient himself, remarked by those around him, and observed by the physician. So it is called as symptom. What is symptom? Symptom is nothing but any change in the health of the organism, any change in the health of the organism which is felt by patient, remarked by the people who are around him, and observed by the physician as well. So this word symptom, it is originate from the Greek word that is symptoma, which means anything that happens, something which is happening or some changes are going on in the inner level. So it is nothing but the symptom. According to Dr. Hahnemann, the symptom is nothing but the outwardly reflected picture of the internal essence of the disease. We all know, that is, according to Dr. Hahnemann, symptom is nothing but outwardly reflected picture of inner disturbance or inner disease. Symptom is nothing but the affection of vital force, derangement of vital force. So this is the definition of symptom according to Dr. Hahnemann. According to Dr. Kent, he said that every symptom which may be subjective or objective, means which is felt by the patient himself or observed by the attendants, observed by the people who are around him as well as by the physician, every type of symptom which is indicative of a deviation from normal state of health. So every symptom, it may be subjective symptom, objective symptom, which show the deviation from the normal state of health, is called as symptom. Also, Dr. Kent says that all incurable diseases make themselves known to the physician by, all curable diseases, not incurable. So, all the diseases, all the deviation from the state of health make themselves known to the physician by signs and symptoms. So, all the deviations from the state of health, which is curable, it is known to the physician by its signs and symptoms. This is the view of Dr. Kent. Then according to Dr. H.A. Robert, Dr. Robert, he says that symptoms are the only representative expression of the diseased state. Symptom is nothing but the representation of the disease state. It represents what or which changes that takes place in the body. So symptoms are only representative expression of the diseased state. Then according to Dr. Elizabeth Wright, she said that, or according to her, Symptoms to the homeopaths are the language of the body, expressing its disharmony and calling for the similar remedy. So according to Dr. Elizabeth Wright, symptoms are nothing but the expressions of the body, expressions of the disharmony which takes place in the body and which are calling for the similar remedy. In the state of health, the spiritual vital force unboundly controls, regulate and coordinate the different activity of the whole organism so that we or any individual feel a pleasant sensation or well-being. So what is health and what is disease? When any person, any individual, he feel a pleasant sensation of well-being, then it is called as healthy person or it is the state of health. And when there are any deviations, any minute deviations occur at the inner level, then also there is feeling of uneasy, feeling of diseased. So disease or there are some signs and symptoms which appear at the external parts on the body parts. So this is called as disease state. So we should know what is health and what is disease. When we know what is disease, then and then only we can able to cure the disease. So first, we all should know what is the state of health and what is the state of disease. Then after knowing these basic concepts of health and disease, we go towards the symptoms. So what is symptoms? There are different types of symptoms which is called as symptomatology, which we are going to discuss. So to go towards the symptomatology, first we should know what is the state of health, what is the state of disease, what is symptom, and then only we can able to understand the symptomatology, different types of symptoms. In the state of health, when the patient is healthy, the spiritual vital force unboundly control, regulate and coordinate all the activities. We unknowingly take breath, our heart is working, our all organs, our vital force which control, and all these coordinations takes place unknowingly. There is no extra efforts we have to take to do all these activities. But when the vital force get deranged, when the person who moves from the state of health into state of disease condition, it can furnish the organism with its disagreeable sensation and function. The person is the individual, he felt some symptoms, he felt some sensations, and many times it was also outwardly visible through the material body as in the form of signs and symptoms. So all these signs and symptoms we considered, then it is nothing but the state of disease. So the totality or considering all the signs and symptoms which are felt by the deceased person, which are the symptoms which are given by the people around the patient or with the patient, as well as which are observed by the physician. All these symptoms, when we combine together, it form the state of disease. So the symptoms are nothing but the picture of the disease. So all the symptoms, it may be subjective symptoms, it may be objective symptoms. When we consider all signs and symptoms, then we get the proper picture of the disease. So as I told that first you have to know the state of health, state of disease, what is symptom. Then there are different types of symptoms according to our homeopathic literature, as like subjective symptom, objective symptom, complete symptom, incomplete symptom, then common symptom, uncommon symptom, characteristic symptoms, keynote symptoms, guiding symptoms, pathognomic symptom, then clinical symptom, accessory symptom, concomitants, general symptom, particular symptom, chief symptoms, recent and old symptoms, eliminative symptoms, determinative symptom, then basic symptom, diagnostic, negative, alternative, recurrent, periodical, paradoxical, accidental, pathological, peculiar, rare, strange symptoms. So these are all different type of symptoms which we are going to discuss one by one. So first in this slide, the introductory part of symptomatology is given, that is symptoms are outwardly reflection of internal derangement of vital force, which is the concept of Dr. Hahnemann. So we see different concepts of symptom according to different homeopathic physician like Dr. Hahnemann, Dr. Kane, Dr. Elizabeth Wright, Dr. Roberts. So according to Dr. Hahnemann, the outward reflection of internal derangement of vital force is nothing but the symptom. It is the evidence of disease. So when we get the symptom, when the person is deceased, so there is, or the person is deceased, some diseased condition is present in the person. When we get the symptoms, we said that the person is deceased. So the symptoms are nothing but it is the evidence of disease. Morbid derangement makes itself known only by its manifestation, at first in the form of altered sensation and function, and later in structural or organic dysfunction. So what is morbid derangement? It is nothing but the derangement of the vital force first. When there is any changes, any destruction which takes place, any small changes which takes place at the inner level, that is at the level of the vital force, which is called as morbid derangement, and it manifests first in the form of altered sensation and function. So first when the vital force get disturbed, then the patient feels its alteration in the sensation as well as its function, and later in structural and organic dysfunction. Means afterwards it was reflected outwardly at the structural as well as at organic level by its dysfunction. So when there is any outward reflection, then definitely there is inner derangement of the vital force, which was first manifested in the form of altered sensation and function, and later on it was manifested in structural or organic dysfunction. Thus, a symptom can be defined as an alteration of sensation and function, or any manifestation or deviation from a former state of health perceptible by patient, individual around him, or the physician. So as I told previously, that is, disease is nothing but any alteration in sensation and function, as well as any manifestation, a deviation from formal state of health perceptible by the patient, the individual around him, or the physician. So now we are going to discuss about different type of symptoms. First one is subjective symptom. Subjective symptoms are the symptoms that are discovered or felt by the patient alone and which does not have or which presents no external indications. These are all felt by the patient only, the patient himself, and we cannot able to see subjective symptoms externally. There is no external indication. According to our homeopathic concept of disease, as we discussed that disease originate first at dynamic level and latter causes deviation in normal sensation and function which only felt by the patient. So many times we see in the society that some persons they felt uneasiness, some persons they felt un what we say, there is some sensations, all their investigations, or there is no any type of disease diagnosis, but there is some abnormal sensations, or there are some changes in the sensation, some different sensations which are felt by the person himself, and we cannot able to show any external manifestations as well as any when we do investigations, then also all the reports are normal, but the patient was feeling uneasy, uncomfortable, there are some abnormal sensations. So these are nothing but the subjective symptoms. And when the disease or when there are derangement at the dynamic level, at the vital level, it takes place, then first after the origination of this, or after when the this derangement at the vital level starts, then the first there is deviation in normal sensation and function. The patient feels that he cannot function efficiently. He feels that something is wrong with him. Slowly, he discovers that there are various unwanted sensations or changes in his functioning. So, first, there are some feeling of uneasiness. There is some feeling that something is going wrong with him, and after some unwanted sensations or changes in his functioning which takes place. Dr. Stuart Close, he writes that, or he said that the subjective symptom constitute the only direct avenue of approach to the inner sphere, which must otherwise remain close to our investigations. Means, as I told just now, that when the patient was feeling uneasy, uncomfortable, and there are no external manifestations, and when we do investigations, we cannot find any changes. All the reports are normal. We cannot found anything in the investigation reports. So, according to Dr. Stuart Close, he said that these subjective symptoms are very important because with these symptoms we directly approach to the inner level of the person. In homeopathy, subjective symptoms take a central role in the study of a case. To study the case, while knowing the person from his inner level, the subjective symptoms are very much important. It is the expression of interior state of the organism and particularly of psychic and mental state as well. So these subjective symptoms, they are directly related to, or directly they are near to the mind. So these subjective symptoms, it is said as a expression of interior state of organism, or they are expression of the mental state, psychic state of the person. So these symptoms, they have given the highest rank while doing evaluation of the case. All type of pain, all type of discomfort, then various sensations and mental symptoms come under the subject of subjective symptoms. So which are subjective symptoms? Which are felt by the person. So all type of pain, the pains are only felt by the person. We cannot able to know by observing the person how much exactly the person was suffering, how much was the intensity of the pain exactly, because some persons, they are exaggerate their symptoms too much. Some persons, they have the capacity to bear that pain. So though there are too much pain, but there are less expressions in some person. So we cannot exactly find out by observing the person how much is the intensity of the pain, but it was only expressed, it was only felt by the person himself. So all type of pain, all type of discomfort, because the comfort and discomfort, it is also subjective, it is also felt by the person himself. Then various sensation as well as all the mental symptoms, they came under the subjective symptom. And these symptoms are very much important because directly they are near to the inner level of the person. They directly relate to the person's mental state, his mind. They are directly related to the vital force. So they are very important for individualizing the case as well as to find out the similimum, exact similimum. So these subjective symptoms, they are very much important for individualization as well as to find out the similimum. And every repertory, almost in all repertory, these symptoms we found in all type of repertories as well as in every case. While taking the case, we get the subjective symptom, that is type of pain, type of discomfort, different sensation as well as mental symptoms of the person we get in almost every type of patient. So the subjective symptoms are those which are felt by the patient himself. They enable the physician to a disease from the standpoint of the patient. So what the person was exactly suffering from the standpoint of the patient, he expressed the disease to the physician. Homeopathic concept of disease holds that the disease hold that which originate first at dynamic plane and later cause deviation in normal sensation and function. So first disease which occur at dynamic plane, which occur at inner level, at the level of vital force, the derangement occur, then it was reflected in the form of abnormal sensation and function, or we find the deviation in normal sensation and function, and afterwards it was outwardly we find the outwardly through the material body we get the different signs and symptoms. So in this way the disease that progress. So this is all about the subjective symptom. So remember, subjective symptom which are only felt by the patient and presenting no external indications. We cannot found any indication to find out the subjective symptom. The subjective symptoms, it is only expressed, it is only given by the patient and not felt by any attendant, any persons, any other person around him or the physician also. So the subjective symptoms are only felt by the patient. Then objective symptom. Second one is objective symptom. The objective symptoms, they are nothing but the signs. Objective symptoms are the symptoms. What are signs? What is sign? So sign is nothing but the symptoms which are observed by the attendants, the relative of the patient and the physician himself. So the symptoms which are observed by, which are also felt by the person, but at the same time we can observe, the attendant can observe, the relatives of the patient, they can observe the signs, as well as the physician himself, he also able to observe the symptoms, and these symptoms are called as signs or objective symptoms. Dr. Hahnemann, he defines objective symptom as the expression of disease in the sensation and function of that side of organism exposed to the senses of the physician and bystanders. So according to Dr. Hahnemann, objective symptoms are nothing but the expression of the disease in sensation and function of the organism, and which are observed by the physician as well as the bystanders, the relatives of the patient. Physical findings as well as laboratory findings also come under this heading. So in the subjective symptom, we discussed that by physical finding we cannot get anything, as well as when we go for the laboratory investigations, then in that also we cannot get any clue, we cannot get anything. All the reports are normal in subjective symptom, but in objective symptom we find, or the physical findings in the patient we observe, as well as the some laboratory findings also we get in objective symptoms, and these are the sure symptoms of the disease which do not mislead the physician, because through investigations, through physical findings, we can reach towards the exact diagnosis of the disease, and our physical findings as well as our investigation, they do not mislead the physician, and they mostly follow the subjective symptoms. They become the most important guide in infant as well as in unconscious patient, in insane, deaf and dumb patient, then the patient using a foreign different language, and even in uncooperative patient, because in case of infant or in case of small children, they are not able to give us their sensation as well as their sufferings. They cannot express, they cannot able to express their sufferings, as well as in unconscious patient we cannot get the exact sensation as well as exact feelings of the patient. In insane patient we cannot get the exact signs and symptoms. In deaf and dumb patient who is not able to hear